Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about another developing case. It's a very fresh case since it just happened on April 28th of this year, and that is the murder of Lauren Heike. We don't have all the information yet, but quite a few details have been released, and luckily a suspect has been arrested, so there is a lot to talk about in this case. I've seen a lot of other creators using this case as an opportunity to raise awareness about this type of situation, so I wanted to do the same. And I feel like this is one of those cases that every woman should know about. This is a really tragic story, and it's been getting major media attention because it just plays true to a lot of people's fears and paranoia. But before we get into it, I just want to say if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more true crime content. The focus of this case has definitely shifted to Lauren's killer or presumed killer, but it's important to make sure that the victim doesn't get lost in it all. So I wanted to start off by talking about Lauren and what a wonderful person she was. Lauren was born on November 20th, 1993, and she was only 29 years old when this happened. She was raised in Washington, and her parents are named Jeff and Lana Heike, and from what I can tell, Lauren had one brother named Ryan. After high school, she studied at Gary Manuel Aveda Institute in Seattle and became an esthetician. Shortly before this happened, Lauren had made the move from Washington to Phoenix, Arizona. I wasn't able to find why or when exactly she made the move, other than it was recently. Lauren was described by her mother as beautiful inside and out. She was said to be really funny, kind, and loving, and her family said everybody who met her loved her because she was really friendly. It sounds like Lauren was always looking for opportunities to chat with and meet people when she was out in public. Apparently, her friendly demeanor concerned her family, who warned her about being too trusting, but her mother also said they wouldn't trade that personality trait for anything because that's the person they loved. One trait her family and friends had mentioned multiple times is that Lauren was very sweet and has been ever since she was a child. Even though Lauren lived in a different state from her parents, she was still very close with them, especially with her mother. Her mother said they talked multiple times a day, either through texting or calls. Lauren also had lots of friends. I mean, just hearing about how she was described, I'm not surprised. A bunch of her friends spoke out about what an amazing person she was, and how she had the ability to change your life with her insane positivity no matter what you were going through. Now let's talk about the tragic events that took place on April 28th, 2023. As I mentioned before, Lauren was living in Phoenix, Arizona and working as an esthetician. And on this day, she actually had the day off from work. She woke up that day like it was any other and actually spoke with two of her best friends on the phone. And her friends later reported that they actually talked about what they were thankful for. Apparently, this was a common thing that they would do as a really nice gratitude ritual. Lauren said she was just grateful for the day and thankful that she could do the things that she wanted to do that day, like go and grab a coffee and then go for a hike. Little did she know that she was only like an hour or two away from her life being over. After she hung up with her friends, Lauren got ready and went out for a hike, which is something she did almost every day as she was an avid exercise enthusiast. She went hiking on the Reach 11 trail in North Phoenix, which was only about half a mile from her home at around 10:30 a.m. that morning. And nobody became super concerned that there was anything wrong with Lauren until the following morning when she didn't show up for work. Her coworker promptly called the Phoenix police to report this because she knew that this was unlike Lauren and something had to be wrong. But what her coworker didn't know is that the police had already received a report of an injured person found on the Reach 11 trail around 10:45 that morning. And once on the scene, police quickly determined that it was actually a dead body that was later identified to be 29-year-old Lauren Heike.
A woman found dead in North Phoenix today. Right now, homicide detectives are trying to figure out who may have killed that woman this morning near Scottsdale Road and Mayo Boulevard. Phoenix police telling us they got a call about an injured person there just before 11 this morning. Officers say the victim was found in a desert area between a gated neighborhood and the Mayo Clinic Hospital. That woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators not saying how she died or her identity tonight. They also haven't shared any suspect information, but will stay on top of it.
The woman who discovered her body was walking her dog at the time and actually recognized Lauren as a frequent hiker of that trail. Investigators determined that Lauren had been attacked from behind, and it was just a brutal attack. Lauren had been stabbed 15 times, with most of the trauma being to her back and upper body. Based on her stab wounds, the coroner determined that she was most likely attacked with a pocket knife. She was found with defensive wounds, and it appeared that she had crossed a barbed wire fence at one point because her clothes were all torn up. Investigators believe that Lauren did fight off her attacker and get away, but her wounds were unfortunately too severe to survive. Police said she was walking near 65th Place and Libby Street on Friday morning when she was attacked, but her body wasn't spotted until the next day because it was in an area that was not easily visible from the hiking trail. The coroner also determined that Lauren had not been sexually assaulted, and with no clear motive or persons of interest from Lauren's personal life, this led police to believe that it was a random attack from a stranger. And this really scared the public, as this was a well-frequented trail for those who lived in the community. I'll see if I can find some clips of how close this was to a residential area, like it was practically someone's backyard.
It's rattled the North Phoenix community. It rattled the whole community, frankly. Irene, she hiked that area frequently, and it was a place that was pretty busy and well frequented.
Well, John, that's absolutely right. Good evening. This is the area where 29-year-old Lauren Heike was found. According to neighbors, you can see there are some flowers out here as well in the area where they say her body was found. And to give you some perspective, if you look up there, just how close this area is to a very nice residential area here in the North Phoenix community. And then if we want to take a look over here too, Justin had mentioned in his story some of that barbed wire, that she was chased through barbed wire, just how close that is to where she was found. This is all over this hiking trail out here.
Police promptly put up signs warning the public about walking alone on the trail and to be cautious, as there was no telling if this person would try to do the same thing to someone else. So now let's talk about the investigation into who killed Lauren. One of the first things police did was try to get their hands on any security footage from the trail and surrounding areas. Luckily, police found some crucial evidence that was captured on a resident's home security camera that was facing the trail. At 10:52 a.m. that morning, Lauren can be seen walking on the trail alone before stepping out of view of the camera. Then seconds later, a man can be seen sprinting on the trail in the same direction as Lauren. Then 3 minutes later, the same man is seen on the camera again. Police never released this portion of the video, but reportedly it shows the same man trying to cross a barbed wire fence that separates the trail from a desert area before leaving the view of the camera. And this was the same barbed wire fence police believe that Lauren crossed while trying to escape her killer. Because of this, and the fact that he was seen sprinting after Lauren, this man quickly became a person of interest. Obviously, the quality of the video is pretty poor and very grainy, but police were still able to see some key characteristics of the suspect, like he was between 5'8" and 6 feet tall, had a dark complexion, and at the time of the attack, he wore a light shirt, dark pants, and a dark backpack. Police released this video to the public on May 2nd, so 4 days after Lauren's murder, to hopefully have this man identified, even though the chances of that were pretty slim considering the quality of the video. The day after the footage was released, Lauren's parents appeared in a press conference pleading for the public's help in identifying their daughter's killer.
Is horrific. I'm sorry. As hard as this is for us, we're grateful because we had such a beautiful child.
A heartbroken plea from Lauren Heike's family, stunned by the loss of their beloved daughter.
She was my little girl. I'm gonna miss her terribly.
It's okay, honey.
I just hope they can find whoever did this to her.
We believe someone would have noticed this person either before the attack or after he fled from our scene.
If you have seen something unusual, somebody wearing a backpack or a hoodie or whatever the video, it's hard to tell, in a sunny, hot day, that person will stand out. And when you've done something, you are going to be unusual. If you think it might be something, if you have an inkling, please contact the police.
Turns out police didn't have to rely on that security camera footage too much because they got a major hit pretty early on in their investigation. Luckily, they were able to use evidence collected from the crime scene to identify Lauren's killer. Police had found many of Lauren's belongings scattered along the trail, including one of her shoes. Luckily enough, DNA evidence was pulled from that shoe. Investigators ran the DNA profile against the Arizona DNA database, and that led investigators to Zion Teasley. Zion Teasley was a 22-year-old man who was no stranger to the law. He was in the Arizona DNA database because he had actually been to jail before, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Police also pulled Zion's cell phone location data, and it was very precise and showed that Zion's phone was in the exact same area where Lauren was attacked on the Reach 11 trail at the same time as when it happened. His cell phone location data also lined up with the security camera footage, and he fit the description, so police were pretty sure they had found the man from the video. But they wanted to confirm further, so they went to his former workplace, which was a sportswear store just a short distance from the trail. Ex-coworkers there recognized him as wearing clothes he was suspected of stealing from the store in the video. With all of that, police were confident they had their guy and they had found the man from the video. Police went to the townhouse complex near Scottsdale and Bell Roads, where Zion lived with his mother, less than a mile from the crime scene, and arrested him on May 4th, almost a week after the murder. And he was charged with the first-degree murder of Lauren Heike. His interview with police after his arrest was very interesting, and I think it left the public with more questions than answers. A video of his interview hasn't been released, so we kind of have to just go off of the brief information that was outlined in court documents. So during an interview with detectives, Zion said that he recognized the area of the Reach 11 trail and that he frequented it often, but refused to provide his routes. He was shown the surveillance video and at first allegedly said, "That's me," but then said that he wasn't sure. When police asked him if he knew why he had been arrested, Zion reportedly said, "There's no freaking way I'm here for a sex crime. I haven't been with anyone for a long time." Investigators then showed him a picture of Lauren, and he reportedly said that he wanted to look like her. Zion also reportedly spoke up about growing up as a Christian and how he struggled with his sexuality, saying in part that he feared his soul's salvation due to his thoughts. We don't know what he meant by this, and there's a lot of speculation around it. I feel like you could interpret this as him alluding to possibly being trans, and what's interesting about this is he used they, them pronouns on LinkedIn. So with that information, I think it's definitely a possibility. Others think that this might be him already trying to come up with some kind of defense for the crime. Detectives also asked Zion if he planned to kill Lauren, and in response he said, "I'm definitely not the person who plans to kill another person. If I was going to do something like that, it wouldn't be premeditated." The day after his arrest, Zion appeared in court and didn't say a word. Prosecutors revealed that he had signs of premeditation in the killing of Lauren, but we don't know exactly what evidence they have to back that up. Prosecutors also said that he was a potential flight risk as he had reportedly booked a plane ticket to Detroit. Investigators couldn't find any concrete or legitimate reason why he would have been flying to Detroit. Zion apparently said that he was flying there because there was a death in the family, but police couldn't find any evidence to support that a death had occurred. So because of this, they believe that he was planning on fleeing the state. His bond was set at $1 million because of the heinous nature of the crime, the fact that he was a flight risk, and his criminal record. So now let's talk about Zion's previous run-ins with the law. At the time of Lauren's murder, Zion was on probation and was only released from prison in November 2022, which was only a couple months before the murder. Zion was arrested for repeatedly robbing 2 Circle K stores in North Phoenix. Arresting documents revealed that Zion walked into Circle K stores at least 4 times between May 2020 and July 2020, where he would demand the clerk to load $200 Google Play gift cards. He stole the gift cards in all instances, but reportedly stole tobacco, beer, or cash depending on the day. Witnesses say he would disguise himself by covering his face and wearing camo or other dark clothing. Once arrested, he admitted to detectives that he made the clerk load the cards and admitted to having an armed handgun in at least one instance. He was charged with third-degree burglary, armed robbery, kidnapping, and disorderly conduct charges. He served 16 months in an Eloy prison before he took a plea deal that dropped 10 out of 13 charges in 2021. As part of the plea deal, he agreed to 4 years of probation. Court documents also say prosecutors assessed Zion as medium to low risk to reoffend when cutting him the plea deal. So he was released in November 2022. After his release, he started working at a sportswear store, but he was fired after only a short time working there for suspected theft and being aggressive towards other female employees. I really don't understand how he wasn't thrown right back into jail after this happened. Like, maybe his probation officer didn't know about this, but this clearly shows that he is going to continue to reoffend. Something else I find very interesting is that it turns out Zion's mother is a surveillance officer at the Maricopa County Probation Office. So maybe she had some kind of say in the leniency of his probation, but none of that has been confirmed, but I do think it's very suspicious. She reportedly refused to speak to detectives about Lauren's murder, so at this time we don't know if she has any other information to share with police. As for what he was doing before his first arrest in 2020, Zion tried to join the US Marine Corps and entered recruit training in March of 2019, but left less than 3 months later before completing boot camp in San Diego. But other than that, we don't really know anything else about him. So in terms of where the case stands today, police announced Zion's arrest on May 4th, which was a huge relief to the community and Lauren's family.
So many of you have known since April 29th, Saturday morning, our detectives have been working tirelessly on this brutal murder case of Lauren Heike. We know that not only this tragedy has affected the family, but it's affected this neighborhood and the entire community. We received an outpour of support and tips called in. Our detectives have been working tirelessly around the clock, and that has ultimately led us here to where we're at today. Behind us, our detectives are serving a search warrant at the man's apartment, and he was taken into custody this evening around 6:30 p.m.
Hikers and residents in North Phoenix have been on edge for the last week.
Seeing how close it was to, a residential neighborhood, it's just, wow. It's pretty terrifying for sure.
Here on the trail where 29-year-old Lauren Heike was found dead. Heike's accused killer, 22-year-old Zion Teasley, arrested at a Scottsdale complex last night.
Case, what was your reaction when you found out he was caught?
Relief, because I walk this every day.
Neighbors there say the trail is a popular spot. Many locals were nervous leaving their homes before the arrest, in an area they generally considered safe.
Very disheartened. I actually moved to this area because of the safety. Kind of a sigh of relief, yes, to know that he's not still out there.
Now that Teasley is behind bars, neighbors' thoughts turn to Heike's family.
I can't imagine what her family is going through right now. Thoughts and prayers are with her.
But when the lead detective on the case made the announcement, he acknowledged that this was not a time for celebration, as it does little to ease the pain of such a tragic loss for Lauren's family.
The killer responsible for Lauren's death is in custody. Our community can breathe easier knowing that this suspect will not be able to harm anyone else. But that does little to ease the pain for Lauren's family. This is not a time for celebration.
Later that day, Lauren's family shared an emotional post on Facebook. "We are breathing a sigh of relief this morning, knowing another family will not have to walk in our shoes because of this person. Although this doesn't bring our Loie back, and the journey ahead is sad and daunting, we are eternally grateful for the love and support we've received from the moment she went missing. I think that's a testament to what a beautiful person Lauren was." And I totally agree. And I think the Phoenix police did a really good job in this investigation, and they're very lucky to have gotten ahead of him before he fled to Detroit. I can't imagine the pain that her family is going through right now, knowing that their daughter's last moments were so heinous and vicious. The motive in this crime is still being investigated, but at this time, police do believe this was a random murder. They say that Zion showed signs of premeditation, but we don't know if that means he targeted Lauren specifically or if he just showed signs that he was going to commit a violent act in general. We do know that Lauren lived in the same area as him, so I'm sure investigators are looking into maybe he was stalking her or if they knew each other. This case is incredibly tragic and it affected a lot of people because I feel like this is every woman's fear when it comes to hiking alone. So I wanted to take a couple minutes at the end of this video to talk about how women, or honestly anybody who is planning on hiking alone, camping alone, or doing anything in a secluded area, how you can protect yourself. And this in no way is trying to victim blame Lauren. Honestly, in her case, there really isn't much she could have done. And it's really scary that if someone has the intent to hurt another person, they will find a way to do it. Anyway, there are a couple things that you can do to reduce your chances of something like this happening to you. First of all, it's always safer to go hiking with another person, whether it's a friend, a partner, or even if you don't have anyone to go with, go to a trail that has a lot of people on it. It's high trafficked and well frequented. Obviously, a criminal is much less likely to act when there are a bunch of witnesses around, and never ever hike at night. Another thing that is really, really important is to be aware of your surroundings. Even though it's not ideal, don't have noise canceling headphones in. You need to be able to hear if someone is coming up behind you. Last thing I want to say is if you're comfortable to, carry some kind of method of self-defense with you. Whether it's a taser or pepper spray, you can buy both those things on Amazon. For those of you who don't know, I live in Canada and pepper spray, it's illegal to carry it here, but we can carry bear spray. And even if that only distracts someone for a couple of seconds, that can be enough time to get away or to call for help, and it doesn't hurt to carry it. You could carry a pocket knife, or if you're trained and you know how to use it, a firearm. Again, not for the Canadians. In the grand scheme of things, what happened to Lauren is very rare and it will likely not happen to you. But what if it did? Why take the risk? It sucks that we even have to think this way or stop doing things that we love because other people ruin it for us, but that's just the reality, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for today. Please let me know what you thought about this case in the comment section below. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.